the bride goes off. She takes her bouquet and she's hitting him upside the head with the bouquet, screaming at him in front of everybody. It was just so beautiful, and the snow is just falling like a salt shaker. She goes out in the courtyard and just starts spinning in the snow. I mean, it's just like watching the Sound of Music intro or something. She's just spinning and she's laughing and she's happy, and I have never, to this day, seen a bride with more pure joy on her wedding day as I did that girl. So she's spinning, dozens of little rips in her dress. She does not care. She's getting ready to walk down the aisle and get married to the man of her dreams. Hello everyone, it is season 1, episode 2 of the Sparkle Sewing Show. If you're new here, I'm Brenda LeBolt. I've been a sewing pro for over 20 years. This show is here to talk about balancing life with running a profitable creative business. It doesn't even have to be sewing, but obviously I'm gonna probably talk about that the most. Welcome to the community. Today's candle flavor of the week is Teal Pumpkin and Vines. This is by Better Homes and Gardens. Oh, I've burned it a few times. It smells so good. I'm a fall lover and I'm ready to do anything I can to help fall to kind of come along. The drought we've been having has been helping the leaves to yellow just a little bit, but I could still use a little bit more fall in my life. So conscious decision here. Today's tea to help us bring on the fall flavor is toasted coconut almond bark. It is one of my favorite black teas, and I really turn to this in the fall and winter months. Every now and then I like to have what I call a dessert tea. And this is incredible, guys. It tastes like a blend between like fall and when you start to get into the Christmas season and you're thinking about hot cocoa, that's what this does. So let's talk about this week's workload around the shop. So it's the typical lots of dresses. I didn't count them, but probably definitely more than last week because we were getting closer to October, which is the biggest month of the year, basically. So I'm probably gonna have 12 to 15 dresses due this week that we need to finish up. I have an assistant coming in later this afternoon, or I think she said maybe tomorrow. She's gonna pull the dresses. So what we do is we have them stored on what we call Z racks. They're like rolling racks, and they're stored upstairs. And there's a lot more space up there. That's where we kind of keep all the long-term storage. And then each week, toward the beginning of the week, an assistant or two comes in and they look at the calendar and they pull all the dresses that are due that week, and they just put them here on the rack just behind you guys. There's a little rack back there. So we have a lot of sewing to do this week, but we have a really exciting thing to do as well. We are renovating the customer bathroom. So we've had a very fun, funky, lighthearted kind of design in there. I guess the style of it has been, and I want to really kind of elevate the look in there. So we're gonna have murals all along the walls, and guess who's gonna have to paint the murals? This is part of being a small business owner, right? You gotta wear so many hats. So I'm not just going to be a seamstress this week, I'm also going to be a muralist, but I'm actually looking forward to it because I don't know if you relate to this, but I can't imagine doing one thing every day. The same hours, the same responsibilities every day. It would drive me crazy. So I'm actually very much looking forward to this artistic relief. So right now is when I would normally be doing the Reddit sewing question of the week. This is not exactly a sewing question, although it's something that I feel like any of us who are involved with brides with maybe helping someone pick out a wedding dress or the alterations after the fact. I feel like this Reddit post it's very telling, and it would be a really good conversation for us to have. So here goes. This Redditor says, I'm tired of everyone micromanaging my wedding dress. Okay, very, very common issue, right? First, it was my mom and my aunt running around the bridal salon, picking up any dresses they liked, even though I didn't like any of the dresses at all, and deciding for me what they think I should wear. So we can already see what the issue is. It's the they is the problem. Even though it's not me at all, and it's their perception of what they think I should be and wear. Okay, so she worded this really well. You can see the heart of the problem. It's not just dresses that they think are pretty, but it's dresses that they feel like should match the identity that they want her to have. So, because she says, perception of what they think I should be and wear. Very telling, very telling. Then my paternal grandmother was very helpful at the second shop visit in a different space where we found a dress that did not work, but obviously was too expensive, and we would try to find online. Only odd thing during that time was her being very fussy about the veil I'd be wearing, but whatever. Okay, this is a common thing. I'll hear brides mention like, well, you know, they feel like they picked the dress, they love the dress, the bride. And then there's this veil situation. And because it's an accessory, I feel like the relatives feel a little bit more pushy about it. Like they should have some kind of say-so about it. And the brides almost feel like because it's an accessory, like, oh, I should just give in. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like the wedding dress. It's just an accessory, right? Wrong. It's going on your head, okay? It's going to be in every picture. It's going to greatly affect the way you feel in your dress. I'm telling you, the veil locking in with the bride and how she feels and how she wants to be presented on the wedding day, that right there gives so much confidence to the bride. When she's got something on her head that doesn't match what she wants, it just ruins the whole thing. So it's a hill to trying to like not get in trouble here with YouTube. It's a hill worth fighting for. She's thinking about having her fiance literally drop her off at a bridal salon to shop by herself. And she's wondering whether or not that would be a good idea. I feel like giving up already on finding a dress. That's so sad. It's been such an emotionally draining process that's made me feel a lot more stressed than I need to be right now. And she's also starting a new job at a new place. So she has a lot going on, and we see this a lot of times with brides. It is a season of transition on almost every level, which is very, very stressful for them. So she just wants to find kind of, it sounds like to me, the most peaceable route to somewhat involve her family, but without it being where they take over. I have found in my experience that the best route to do this is actually kind of what she's doing, but maybe I would have planned it that way from the beginning so she wouldn't have been disappointed in her first salon visit. So I would go ahead and plan a visit with the family. Let that be an event. Let them pull whatever they want. Just humor them, you know, let them have a wonderful time with it. And then I would maybe have another dress try on appointment with a few of my besties. And I wouldn't just pick like, hey, I love these girls. That's fine. But I would also pick somebody who has good fashion sense and who is really like clued into what you want as a bride, and they're not going to be like asserting or trying to live vicariously through you or anything like that. So I would maybe do a trip like that, and then I would also do a trip entirely alone. Yes, I do think that is a great idea. And obviously, as a seamstress, I have opinions too about guests. I feel like guest counts should be kept very low. And I also feel like brides should probably try to have an appointment or two when they don't bring a guest. It just gives them a different level of mental clarity that they wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah, I feel like this bride is on the right track with having several different types of shopping experiences. Oh. Cute sewing thing of the week, okay? Cute sewing thing of the week is this. I know you can't see it. That's my point. I was hoping this would be a cute sewing thing of the week and it's a fail. Okay, so this finally came in. I ordered it. It took them a while to make it. It says sparkle sewing. Look at how tacky this looks. It looks so bad. So the lighting starts before you even get to the sign, right? And it's supposed to be backlit. There you go, you can see what it is. Sparkle sewing, and it's got all these cute little things. Like the cutout itself is really cute, but this is just so janky. So what I told my daughter, I feel like I can use it if I cut out almost like a white-ish or ivory background and have it mounted to that and have this kind of fed through the back of it. I think then it would be kind of cute. But as it is, it looks terrible. And it's not just because it's on a wall with busy stuff. Like, it's not evenly lit at all. So, my cute sewing thing of the week, I wanted to order and test it out and tell you what I thought of it. And that's what I did. I don't like it. Tell me what you think.
Okay, here's editing, Brenda. I had a friend reach out to me and remind me, oh my gosh, did you guys see in the news this week about the girl that supposedly had a roach, like a cockroach, the animal, sewn into her wedding dress? Did you guys see that? Okay. So many people in the comments, like everywhere, they were saying it was witchcraft. They felt like the seamstress was putting a curse on her. What do you think? Put that in the comments. I'd like to know. Do you think there was like something greater to that? And how did no one notice it? How did no one notice it at the final adjustment fitting? And the thing is, it was so obvious. It was sewn in. It didn't just like crawl in and was like, maybe it was put in there. No, it was like seamed into the dress. It was like sewn through, and they had to like cut the dress and dig it out with tweezers. So yeah. Penny, for your thoughts.
So back to what Elizabeth and I want to talk with you guys about within the wedding industry that I feel like would bring a lot of peace to brides and wedding vendors and family members of brides. And I have not heard anyone speak to this topic before, okay? So tell me what you think about it. And also, as always, please feel free to share this with any of your friends and wedding industry folks, brides, mothers of the bride, whatever, because I would love to hear people's opinion on this. Unpopular opinion, in fact, unheard of opinion, okay? I feel like brides should plan the wedding that match their nervous system. Hear me out, okay? Not match their Pinterest, not match, what their family expects, not match the societal norms for the locality that they're in. But I feel like brides should plan their wedding kind of conscientious of their nervous system first, okay? So if you're afraid of crowds, you should have a micro wedding or a nano wedding or a courthouse or elope, whatever. And I'm not telling you this. I'm just saying this is what would correspond with my little theory here, okay? So if you're afraid of crowds, you don't like big crowds, you don't like huge events, I feel like to have the happiest wedding day possible, you should not plan a big wedding. I know. I know. That was crazy. Can you believe I said that? What decision gives you peace when you're planning your wedding? Same thing with your timeline. Consider your nervous system. If you always run late and you take forever to get ready and you really, really care so much about your pictures, go ahead and front load your wedding timeline with all this time to get ready. How does this relate, you may ask, to someone who sews on dresses? And this could be wedding dresses, bridesmaids dresses, mother of the bride, whatever. Pick that dress also with your nervous system in mind. If you are a little claustrophobic and you get uncomfortable in tight clothes, maybe you don't want a corset back style dress. Yeah, maybe you look the best in it, but maybe you're going to have a panic attack. Just consider it. If you're trying to dress on and you're already nervous about this and nervous about that, and you're using those key words, clue into that and listen to your heart and just know that you're gonna have like so much better of a day if you will tune into that. Don't you think? Yeah, that's what we think. My bride story of the week. This one gives me all the feels, okay? So I broke it up into two main categories. One, I wanted to talk about my happiest bride I've ever had. And there's two of them that actually come to mind, and they're a tie because the reasoning and everything behind it is entirely different for the two brides, and I just couldn't cut out one or the other. So the other story I wanted to tell you was my most angry bride. This is on her wedding day. The bride who, when I've done wedding day services as a vendor and I've seen her behavior on the wedding day, this was my most angry bride that I've ever served, okay? Oh, time for tea. Now, this is a little controversial. One of my happiest brides I ever had, I was relatively new to doing any type of bridal. So her fiance and her future mother-in-law brought her to my house where I was sewing, and she was hands down just beaming, just so happy to be there. Super, super sweet. And when I asked her, where is she from or whatever, she mentioned the country that she was from. And then when I asked her, how long have you been in the States? So this is like, she's getting married very, very soon. Okay. So I'm like, how long have you been in the United States? And she says, 90 days. She was so thrilled she made it to the 90-day mark so she could get married. So the backstory was that she was a mail order bride. I did not even know that was legal, but I mean, I guess like why would it not be legal? She's a consenting adult. So the parents kind of arranged this. This is where all the controversy comes in, right? She was not being forced into this marriage. Apparently she had kind of offered herself up to this agency to be a mail order bride, and it was her dream come true to be able to live in the United States, to be able to move out of the country that she was in. So she was picked via whatever process they have, and she moved over here, and they courted for the 90 days, and yeah, they got married, and she was beyond thrilled. This was not a forced situation. And I know some people will feel weird about it because they're like, yeah, but would she have been as happy if she had economic opportunities where she was from? And, we can't change that though. Like, that's what she was born into. And she was just happy as a lark. And I saw them after their wedding. I saw them around town a couple times. They were so happy. So he was a little bit of a later life groom, never found his person, and he was sad about being single. And, she was sad about where she lived and sad about being single. And it seemed like really a match made in heaven. They were both so happy with one another, and they were happily married. And like that at the end of the day is the whole point, right? So it's just, to me, it's a very sweet story. It has a different, it's a plot twist from what you would expect when people tell you, she was a mail order bride. You're like, ooh, you know, but it's amazing the way it turned out. It was so cool. So my other bride that was the happiest I ever had, when she got married, there was this massive snowstorm. In fact, I was there to work her wedding. I'll tell you in a minute why. But we had a 4-wheel drive, and we were actually having to go out and pick other vendors up who did not have 4-wheel drives and drive them up to the ceremony site. So she was wearing her grandmother's wedding dress, and it was silk, 100% silk. And this dress had actually dry rotted. So I would never recommend that a bride wears a dry rotting dress for obvious reasons, right? So this is why they hired me for their wedding. What we did is we cleaned the dress. We conditioned the dress so that we could moisturize it as much as possible to prevent the breaking down of the fibers. But as she was wearing it, inevitably, she would get these little tears all through it. You know, you twist this way and all these little tears would come up in it. So they wanted me there so that if a tear happened in a more unfortunate spot, I could fix it then. Because she was just heart set on wearing this dress, and they knew like it's not gonna last through another bride, and grandma would love it. So let's go for it full send, right? So that's what she did, and it starts this snowfall. She's getting ready to go down the aisle, and she runs out in the side courtyard beside the church that she's getting married in. Gorgeous. Like this church like overlooks the city, so it's like this old downtown area, you know, spires and gorgeously architectured buildings, and everything is hushed because of this thick blanket of snowfall that fell the night before. We knew the snowstorm was coming. So this town is not our town. It's out of town. So my husband and I actually stayed in a hotel that was close enough we could walk if we needed to. And luckily the 4-wheel drive was enough. But there's like this historic hotel off in the distance. It was just so beautiful. And the snow is just falling like a salt shaker. But it was big enough to be like very visible. She goes out in the courtyard and just starts spinning in the snow. I mean, it's just like watching the Sound of Music intro or something. She's just spinning and she's laughing and she's happy. And I have never to this day seen a bride with more pure joy on her wedding day as I did that girl. So she's spinning, dozens of little rips in her dress. She does not care. She's getting ready to walk down the aisle and get married to the man of her dreams. So beautiful, sweet story. Never forget it. Never forget that story. It was so lovely. And then da, 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 da. Here comes the story of the most angry bride that I've ever had. And I feel like you guys can relate to this. Even if you don't work with brides, there's still like angry clients and family drama and things that come up across any type of industry. This bride, it was really so sad. When I got there, everything seemed to be okay. There was never an obvious upset in the getting ready stage of things, but at one point, something ticked off the bride. And she kicked her future mother-in-law out of the getting ready cottage, which I am all team bride. You do what you got to do. If it's a monster-in-law, she's got to go. Like, you can't let her wreck your day if she's showing out and whatever. But I can say from my perspective, with having been around them for hours, getting ready and whatnot, I never saw anything. So if the mother-in-law said something or did something to cause that in the moment, it had to have been somewhat subtle. So that's not to say, I mean, she could have whispered something horrendous to the bride, right? So I'm like giving the bride like the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, okay, something happened, it's for the best, I guess, whatever. But that future mother-in-law like kind of stood off in the distance in the field. And I saw her just like looking at the cottage and just like kind of like wringing her hands, and she's just so hurt. And It wasn't performative. I don't know that she knew that I could see her. I was in the cottage and I don't think she could see that anybody was looking. Everybody was inside. It was just her having her own moment of heartbreak. It was very, very sad. Anyways, that was the first thing that was kind of like, Well, then after the wedding, when it's time to take pictures, you know how it is. The family members go AWOL and they know they're supposed to be in pictures and they've been announced, like, family, come over here, we're doing pictures, whatever. And then no, somebody doesn't listen. Uncle Bob wants to go get drunk, and Aunt Susie wants to go talk to the cake baker and pester her. And then, none of the guys want to be in pictures. They want to run around and go play horseshoes or whatever. So this is kind of the feeling at that time, and it starts to really stress the bride out. Let me just say, I don't feel like it should ever be the bride's responsibility to holler out who is in the picture, okay? And it's not the photographers either. There should be a designated person who is rounding up who's next in the photos for the bride, because the photographer doesn't know the people, and nobody needs to be out there yelling and carrying on. I've seen that in so many weddings, and it's just awful. So the way you do that is you assign the job of herding the cats to H-E-R-D, herding the cats to someone, right? So anyways, the brother had gone missing because, of course, he doesn't want to be in the pictures, right? So when they wrangle the brother and get him in for the family photos, the bride goes off. She takes her bouquet and she's hitting him upside the head with the bouquet, screaming at him in front of everybody, just so mad that he caused this delay. Then I was like, she is unhinged. She is absolutely unhinged. Okay. And then later I did find out, this was well after my contracted stay. This was later in the evening. Somebody had stepped on her dress, like stepped on, and ripped the skirt away. So I'm sure that was like very embarrassing for her. And I'm so glad I wasn't there. Oh my gosh. So yeah, when I look back on it, I can think of it two ways. She is definitely, by her behavior, like the angriest bride. It was anger, okay? It wasn't just nerves, it was anger. But when I look back on it, she probably looks back on her wedding day as being horrible. Like, she probably thinks everything went wrong. Her family was a nightmare. Nobody's cooperating. My dress was ripped, like on and on down the line, right? So I'm not saying she does, because I didn't ask her about that. But there are two sides to every story. So I think that is an interesting facet to it, is that my memory of my most angry bride on her wedding day is probably her memory of a horrible wedding day, which is so very sad. Goodness gracious. I hope you enjoyed our time together today, just having a tea, having a little sit, hearing all the stories and all the things going on in the industry. I hope you loved it. I am loving this format. Let me know what you think of it. It's a little more low lift than some of my more intensely produced videos. And as you guys know, I have a huge library. It's over 700 videos that teach you how to do all kinds of sewing techniques. Most of them are bridal sewing, but they're applicable to all kinds of sewing. So I hope you enjoy the library. I hope you tap this cute little circle here and hit subscribe. I hope you watch this video because YouTube knows that you will love it. And I hope to see you all next week. Have a lovely week, Sparkles.